channel, which gives you business 24 hours, 7 days a week. And this is the point where we get to look at different business sectors in the economy and bring on board experts and participants, as well as the policymakers, to give their opinions on what's currently happening in these sectors. And today we are talking market women, and generally women in the money economy here in Uganda. And I'm joined by Ms. Maureen Wagubi, who is the Executive Director of Institute for Social Transformation, and Ms. Catherine Nanzige, who is the Chairperson of the Nakawa Market Women Cooperative. Now, of course, later on, very interestingly, you are in big positions. We cannot take this for granted. And you will later tell us a story of, how you actually got into, this space and the confidence you have to speak for women and, empower women and do all this stuff. But before we went into the break, we were looking at a statistic by the Economic Policy Research Center, which noted that almost 20 hours per week are spent on average by women and girls doing unpaid work. And this is twice as much as for boys and men. And we're talking about a problem where men are giving a lot of responsibility to the women to take care of their homes, to do the chores, and do all this work. But currently, when you look at this disproportion, it entrenches social gender norms that continue to disempower women and impede them from gaining quality employment. Unpaid work in itself absorbs women's time and energy, and this reduces their competitiveness in the formal and informal sector as well. So what do you think should be done in order to promote women in the competitive sectors? Even though they're informal, like in the market setting, we should have them competing to have a stall that's worth at least 5 million, right? In terms of capital, capital investment and so on. What should be done so that we get away from this too much time spent on the unpaid work?
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I think, first of all, what we need to do is to appreciate where the journey started from of unpaid care work. Gone are the days where, the women used to stay home. I used to be home. My husband goes maybe for a formal job somewhere, and then I'll be able to tender to the family. That was my role. But now we have reached a point whereby things are changing. The man is not going for formal work, or is going but is not taking care of the home, or we are all going for formal work, but it's even not, there's no enough time for us to handle all this. How do we bring balance? And also us to appreciate that things have changed. The woman of 1980s is not the woman of today, based on the level of education, but also based on the economic changes, because you have to ensure that you survive. So, is unpaid care work bad? Because we need our children to grow in a formal way, we need to protect them, but is it only a woman's job? It's for both of us. So how do we get the balance? So we need to engage both the men and the women to understand that there is unpaid care work. But this unpaid care work also disrupts my performance to ensure that I gain economically, to gain ground in my business. Because I'm going to spend so much time, for example, I'll give an example of a market woman. She has to leave home at 4 a.m. to get to the market, to ensure that she can get the merchandise from the suppliers at that point. But I'm leaving home at 7 or 8. The best products will be taken. By the time I reach at 7, they will be even more expensive. Do you see? That is going now to disrupt my flow of business. So how do we get this to table?
And yet I have to prepare breakfast.
I have to, yes.
Before I come to work.
Yes, because I want my kids to be well. And some of the women cannot even afford maids. So you see that these are all issues around that we need to sort. That's why I say that even when we are moving, you're not going to move alone. Because if this woman is married, or she has a spouse, we have to engage. That's why as IST, we do couple seminars to enable them vision together as a couple on some of these things. Because you cannot move with women alone. You're telling the woman, save and the man is the one who gave her capital, and she's saying, no, I want my money back. Just declare what you've sold, I'll give you money for, So how do we get this back? So it is our role. That's what I said, everybody needs to play a part. Maybe you take me back to the question properly so that I don't miss out.
We want to look at the women and men, the unpaid work, how we can balance out the men's side and also the women's side, and get women to participate more in the competitive business. Yes.
I think I've tried to answer you. So
all right. Let's get to Ms. Catherine. In your own experience, personal experience with these market women, I understand you've interacted with many of them, and you understand what they exactly go through, balancing their care work at home and also their formal or informal jobs in the marketplaces. What can be done, in your view, to see that we bring them to a balance so that women can participate more in the competitive businesses? Because we are seeing more time now being absorbed, especially now going back to the COVID-19 pandemic, where they were home and everyone was at home and they had to cook and do all these things, yet as well balanced work this side. So what can be done to bring that balance?
What I think the men should assist their partners in doing some of this work. Because if a woman is to leave home, like at 4, and you're going to stay behind, let her do what she can, then the rest the man can also do. The man can also wash clothes. It is not disrespecting. That is what I think. They should at least assist, because it helps them also. If a woman is financially stable, it means the family will be okay. They will be in position to cater for their children.
But men are intimidated by, like she said at some point, women who have, done something, especially who are better than them financially. Would you side with that fact as well?
I wouldn't side with it, but also it calls for them to work hard. Why would you stay home when a woman is going to work? Yeah, you have to work also. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So today, gentlemen who are out there, you are challenged to actually work twice harder. If you think you're challenged by a woman's probably financial capacity, depending on where you are in life, but definitely you must be working harder than the woman. That is by nature, and hopefully you're doing so. Now, getting back to the market of women, government has put in place different infrastructure in terms of markets and so on and so forth. How have these helped the women? Because formerly we had the argument that, yes, the infrastructure is there, but we have no clients. Markets have been built, but they're being built in places where market access is hard. And women were complaining of, we cannot go into those markets because we won't find clients. And that's why we saw many of them hawking on the streets. And you saw the brutality of, for example, the KCCA officials who are actually brutalizing many of them, chasing them off the streets. What's your view on the market infrastructure that has been put in place? Is it working to the advantage of the market women?
Thank you, Anthony. First of all, I would love to extend my sincere appreciation to the government of Uganda for setting up those beautiful structures. They are really beautiful. They give a market this uplifted, face. Yes, the markets are good. They are good. The structures especially, they are beautiful. You feel like, yeah, that is my office. If you're comparing with other markets that you see. But there is what they call the reality of the other side of the story. There are times when I ask myself, were there consultations done with the occupants of these markets of how they want their markets to look like? Which I think it wasn't really given to them, those consultations. Because when you hear what the people wanted, it's not what they were given. We have seen that most of these markets, if you enter them on the top levels, there are no occupants. And when you speak to the clients themselves, they say, I cannot go to market and start climbing up there too. And you find that people are now coming outside to sell their products from outside because, clients cannot move, start walking up there to look for tomatoes. And I rather buy tomatoes on the streets. And then the women or the market watch parts themselves, they have the habit of saying, we won't work from inside this market. We have to go outside. And then what is government going to do about it? Because it's genuine cost. I'm paying. Somebody else is coming to the streets and selling without paying, those taxes. So I rather also take my products outside. So what didn't go right? We have to look at those. And that I think it's the Matif program that is building these markets, that the new markets that they are constructing, they have to look into. But what I also appreciate that these structures, they have been able to set up daycare centers, because that was an issue with most of the markets. They didn't have those gazetted areas where nursing mothers would take their babies. So what I'm seeing in the new structures, that there are areas gazetted. But even when they are gazetted, they're not furnished. They're left for the vendors to do the furnishing. And then there is also a challenge where you see that, yes, the space is gazetted, but then the women are also not having money to pay for those spaces, because they're supposed to be paid for. Because they need somebody to tend to the babies, they need the beddings, all the items that are needed to be in that space. And then we are also seeing in other markets where government offices are coming to take over those spaces that are not being used. So we go back. That the act says, as per the laws of Uganda, children are not allowed in the markets. And here I am, I'm a single parent, I don't have money, even if I'm not a single parent, but I don't have money to pay maid to leave my baby home, so I have to come with my baby. We have seen instances here in Kaleri, the time they were chasing them with their babies, mothers were hiding their kids under boxes and tying them under them, and that space is not clean. So, what are we trying to promote? You see, that you've set up this space, it's not fully furnished, but did you consult these people on what they want and how they would contribute to these spaces? Not just setting up a building and you put it there, we have finished. I think we have seen instances where there are those roadside markets. People desert this market that is constructed and they go back to their work.
Yes.
So there are so many things to dig around. You're telling me to come and take over this space in the market, but there's someone else I'm paying for this store that I have to subscribe to you. Anthony, it's you who will be taking my money for rent. So is this market mine? Because I thought the government has set up the market and my role is to pay the dues. But it's not the case.
So there are problems with ownership.
Yes.
And the facilities around to facilitate, for example, the children's care.
Exactly.
And then how about the other infrastructure, the toilets? Are they in place, and all the other things?
The structures, by the way, the toilets are gazetted.
Okay.
They are there. So yes, the toilets are there.
And the hygiene is good.
The hygiene, but the challenge again we have seen, I think, I'll mention this market.
It's okay.
Yeah, in Busia. I went with Busia is the newest market. They have just opened it. I went to the toilets and they were disaster. I called the chairman and said, "Chairman, what has happened? This is a new market. How can this, the toilet?" The services were attended to someone else to do the cleaning of the toilets. And these people, I think, were subscribing to the council. That even the leadership of the market, you have no control over certain things. You see? So I think they need to get back to the drawing board and see how to manage these markets.
Ms. Catherine, in your view, you've interacted with these women who are in these current infrastructural developments that government has put in place to facilitate their residents as well as their trading. In your view, are there some things that actually were not seen? Like Ms. Maureen was mentioning the daycare centers, the ownership of the stalls. what are some of the things that were actually not seen or were not actually put into consideration once they were putting in place this infrastructure?
What I think is that the biggest problem is that their vendors are left behind. If they're making plans to construct a certain market, I think they should engage the vendors through the market management committee, because we've got different leaders. In every department, we've got a leader. At least those leaders can be engaged and they can get their views. For example, if we're to construct a market, the first floor, let it be for perishables. In my own opinion, let it be for perishables. Then as you go up, put the salons, because someone will have to go up. But you can't tell me that. For example, one day market, the perishables are put up. You have to go. You climb upstairs. People do not have that time. And remember, there are people, even the customers. At least we need to encourage them also to buy from the markets, because it's like they're also promoting the roadside markets. You find them parking, buying on the roadside. At least we also, if they were not buying from these people, they would not encourage them to stay there. But if we encourage them also to buy from the markets, but the development, the construction needs the vendors' engagement in the plan.
But human nature looks for convenience. So customers will always look for what's convenient.
And still another point, when they're constructing these markets, they need to engage the committee. Why do I say that? Because the chairman has got a list of all vendors, but you find out, like, was it Lugazi Market? The strategic shops or stores were given out to the leaders. The C3s, C1s, what. And these people, for you to get that strategic area, it was a tug of war. If the market is for vendors, let it be specifically be for vendors. Why would then these people come in again to come and take these stores or shops? So that's what I think they should engage the people responsible. That's why we shall always ask for leadership in the market. We need the leadership. Like me, I'm worried with my market. Today they tell you cases has taken over. Today we are in a confusion.
So there's inconsistency in the leadership of these markets. And I think when you talk about leadership, that has been a very big topic. For example, in the big markets like Wandega, leadership wars, you see so many fights and so on. Who is the owner, who is not the owner? Let's get back first of all to the hawkers before we get into the leadership, because that's also something else. When we talk about leadership, you're not just talking about the leaders, but what skills do they have? Are they well trained in business management and leadership courses? But talking about the hawkers, people who are on the streets, the vendors on the streets, and most of these are women. And there's been huge debate on whether to or not to remain with these vendors or hawkers on the markets or along the roads or to the markets or somewhere in between. And the way they have been treated, they have been brutalized, most of them, but they keep coming back. They keep coming back. What do you think government is missing? Is this force we are using, patrolling, you see them with sacks and then they see the KCC officials, they pack them and run off. When are we ever going to get rid of this?
Anthony, it all goes back to the structural systems that we have as a country, but also the enforcement levels, because I feel the enforcement levels are lacking. That even the enforcers, today they come, when I pay some money, they will allow me to be in that spot. But can we take a consolidated decision and we say, we don't want street vendors on the streets, because they are gazetted spaces where they can. Because we have seen, steps that government had taken, trying to push people out, take them to these spaces. They have gazetted, those markets where they can go. For example, Usafi market, where, they were saying, street vendors can be get at that side. But how easy is it for this person to get space in that market? Do you see? And because it takes a lot, because there is a lot of politics that plays around. Because you think government is trying to push this agenda to ensure that the city is clean, there are no street vendors, and then somebody else will come and politicize the whole thing, and then the street vendors are there. So can we have a unison in our decision? One voice, and we say, this is the Uganda we want, and we should enforce it, regardless of our political ventures and whatever. But let us push the common agenda. That is how we shall support our people in the markets to be in peace. And even as the customers or clients, we shall be forced to go there, because we shall not find things on the street. But if I find it and it's there and I want it, I'll buy it. For, like I've said, convenience. Why would I go to Wandegate to look for tomatoes when they are here? So we need really to love our country. Like we're saying, we need to be patriotic and all that. It starts with us in our houses. Don't buy things on the street. But even me as a seller, I'm like, no, I will not sell on the street. Let me find a way and get into the space in the markets. But make sure that even the leaders in the markets are allowing these people to come in. Reduce on the prices for the stalls. Because sometimes they are running away because the prices are very high. Can we provide different ways of making sure that these people can pay these tolls in the long run? Small monies until they complete. But you want all the money, which I cannot afford. I'm just having a basket of mangoes. How do you expect me to pay for that? So we have to make sure the environment is really working for everybody.
Ms. Catherine, your thoughts on this before we go to the break?
Now, for me, I would ask the government to construct better or modern markets. For example, when you look at Naka market, the population is high. That's why you find people selling along the roads. All stores and all shops are occupied. You cannot get a free Yet some of them are just from Kampala, and they came. You will find some of them work in the morning, then they go and rest, then come back in the evening. Those are the people you find on the wrong side, from around Lugogo up to the market, then you go up to Spear Motors. So I would think I would ask government to construct a better and a bigger
infrastructure.
Yes.
Wow.
To accommodate the increasing population.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for those wonderful insights. And I hope the policymakers out there, you're listening to some of these very credible submissions. We need to improve the infrastructure, but also get to bring on table the people who are in these markets so that we get to know what they want and tailor those infrastructure for them. We're going to take another short break, but when we return, Ms. Maureen, I want us to talk about the skilling. I know that the Institute for Social Transformation is at the center of skilling these market women. And we know skilling is very important, especially finances and other vocational skills that these women, on top of what they have as experience from their work, can add value to their work through these skills. And we want to talk about some of those, and also the role of media, like you mentioned in the first place, where we're going to propose here to see how these market women can benefit from media and your advocacy as well. My name is Anthony. We are talking women today, and particularly market women. And we're taking a very short break. We return shortly. Stay with us.